When Daniel Brooks walked out of San Quentin Prison after 22 years, the first thing he felt wasn't the relief of freedom. It was a suffocating wave of fear. You see, freedom meant choices, and choices were what had ruined his life in the first place. At just 19, Daniel fell in with the wrong crowd in Oakland. One night, a robbery went terribly wrong. A man was injured. Daniel never touched the gun, but he ran. And that one act of running cost him his entire youth. Now, at 41, with streaks of gray in his beard and scars etched deep in his memory, Daniel stood outside the prison gates. In his hands were a one-way bus ticket and a worn-out Bible someone had given him years ago. There was no one there to greet him. The world, it seemed, had spun on without him, leaving him behind. Daniel found a spot in a transitional shelter, a place that was supposed to be a bridge back to society. But every night, the sound of doors closing, the metallic click of a lock, made his chest tighten. He'd wake up gasping for air, trapped in the nightmare of moments he desperately wished he could erase. The past was a relentless ghost. He started the grueling process of finding work. Dishwasher, cleaner, warehouse helper, he applied for anything. Each interview started with a glimmer of hope and ended with the same hollow words. "We'll call you." The calls never came. His record was a wall he couldn't seem to climb over. One rainy evening, the weight of it all became too much. Daniel collapsed on the shelter steps, his breathing shallow and fast, his body shaking uncontrollably. "I can't do this," he whispered to the rain-soaked concrete. "I don't belong out here." He felt more trapped outside the prison walls than he ever did inside them. That's when nurse Helen Moore saw him. She worked at a free mental health clinic right across the street. She didn't approach him with judgment or suspicion. She didn't ask about his record. She didn't ask about his mistakes. She knelt down beside him and asked a simple, profound question. "Are you breathing right now?" That question was a lifeline. It pulled him back from the edge. Helen taught Daniel something that 22 years in prison never could: how to sit with his pain instead of running from it. She helped him face the panic, the guilt, and the shame that had been chasing him for decades. "You can't undo the past," she told him gently one day, "but you can decide who you are today." Her words weren't just comforting, they were empowering. A few weeks later, Helen recommended him for a janitor position at the clinic. The pay was low, the hours were long, but when they offered him the job, Daniel accepted with tears streaming down his face. Every floor he mopped, every window he cleaned, felt like a small, silent apology to the world, a way to start making amends. Years went by. Daniel's dedication didn't go unnoticed. He eventually became a peer counselor at the very same clinic, guiding other former inmates who were wrestling with the same demons of anxiety and trauma that he knew so well. He learned to speak openly about his fear, his regret, and the slow, arduous process of rebuilding a life from scratch. One afternoon, a young man, fresh out of the system and looking lost, asked him, "How do you live with what you did?" Daniel looked at him, his voice quiet but steady. "I stopped punishing myself," he said, "and I started repairing what I could." Daniel Brooks didn't get rich. He didn't become famous. His story won't be in the headlines, but he found something far more valuable. He learned how to breathe again, and for a man who had forgotten what it felt like, that was the only freedom that truly mattered. Thanks for watching. If this story touched you, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more content that matters.